Hey, everybody. What a day. Oh, my God. So let's start off by saying Schwab was down, Coinbase was down, my camera's down, the market's down. And you notice my sentiment does change. And as of late last week, I got a little bit negative. That can be seen by how little I joke around on Twitter. And that was absent last week. Anyway, crypto market cap 2.4 trillion. There will be no face today because there's cameras down as well as everything else. Just a reminder in case you're looking for me, but it's me here live. Bitcoin right now as we stand is about 67,300. It is down 4% since yesterday. And it's put a bit of a dampener on the mood. But again, it's a nothing burger. We'll get into that in a minute. What else? Bitcoin dominance still about 54%. And crypto fear and greed is at 74%. Fear and greed has not gone down at all, considering if you took the temperature of the room within, say, Twitter or something, it's a different situation. Anyhow, let's jump in. Not financial advice. Shout out to Patreon member, woohoo, KPM. Thank you for being part of the team. Let's look at the monthly returns. Bitcoin is now down 1% for the month of June. We were up as high as 12, 13% not too long ago, and it's down again, but still flat for June, not bad. And we'll talk about kind of the cycle and where we are and why I believe it could be in a bit of a holding pattern for a little while. Let's talk about some Bitcoin news. First thing was very interesting. This from the Altcoin Investor. Digital assets are the best performing assets in history and also the best performing assets 11 of the last 14 years. Now in history, it means over continued periods of time, you got top three assets, Bitcoin, ETH, and Solana, have generated north of 150% compound annual growth rate since they all began. What's interesting is I think Solana up 197%, ETH 149% compound annual growth rate, and Bitcoin 139%. So over the history of time, ETH has performed better than Bitcoin. But that's, as I say, the smaller assets do run better over time. But now ETH is a big asset, so I do expect that to slow down. But this IRR, compound annual growth rate, whatever you want to call it, is 10 times more than what Warren Buffett got. And he is considered the greatest investor in history. So I thought that was some interesting perspective there, everybody. This is why we crypto. Theosu, thank you so much for coming up there in Canada. Now, this is also a little bit of breaking news. The largest bank on the planet praised the evolution of Bitcoin and Ethereum, by the way, as innovative financial assets. ICBC compared Bitcoin to gold and that it is so much portable, transportable, etc. It said, actually, in one of the other pieces that they wrote to show it's a bit flawed, they said it is as scarce as gold. No, Bitcoin's actually a lot scarcer than gold. But anyway, it's interesting that the biggest bank in the world does talk about it solves gold's problem of divisibility and inconvenient to carry. Yes, try carry $1 billion worth of gold through an airport. You simply can't without an armored vehicle. Anyway, that was some good news for Bitcoin. Also, this is from Reflexivity Research. The key point of this, we know the flows. I've analyzed them every single day. We know that the ETFs in the US hold 880,000 Bitcoin. That is about 4.46 of supply, assuming the max supply, which of course will never be there. The past week flows, $1.8 billion. And that was going to run out. That was pretty clear. And total on-chain holdings, $61 billion. But this last piece at the very end is what I find very interesting. The projected Bitcoin supply absorption, they didn't give the time frame. I'd assume it's for the next year or to the end of the year, is 3.94%. So if you look at the current issuance of Bitcoin is 0.85%, somebody is going to have to sell 3.1% of all the Bitcoin that's available, which is actually a much higher percentage because it'll have to be more than 14 or 15 million Bitcoin. And that is the interesting number. Where is this going to come from? Or will the ETF stop stacking? One fit pork chop. Thank you for coming too. This is a super interesting, and I will break this down more. I just got this, and I'm going to look into my projections of the absorption because I think it's a very interesting thing to look at. Also, this is kind of a bit of sad news, but from Unusual Whales, and it's worth sharing. And I always talk about how, the Cantillon effect, etc., how the rich get richer. But this is from Unusual Whales, and it talks about how U.S. households have added $37 trillion in wealth over the past 4 years. And the concentration is amongst the top 0.1%. And that's getting more and more extreme. To put that in perspective, okay, 37 trillion. The top 0.1% got 54% of that 37 trillion. They got 20 trillion to split amongst themselves. And that's 150 million per household. So that's kind of sad. The other 99.9% gets 46%. And of course, the top 1% gets a big chunk of that, and it just dwindles all the way down. So as usual, the rich get richer. That's why you got to do something different. And that's why we look at these puppies here. Digital assets, getting in early, getting in hard can be very life-changing. That's why every day I make videos. Hope you enjoy them. And thank you as well to the mods in chat. Thank you, Sean Donnelly, TNT Tesla, and Cage for being here. In other news too, because emotions get frayed in markets. The best way to approach markets is not to care. Okay? Turn off your emotions when you play with money. The less you care about money, the more you make, I promise you. Unless, of course, you're spending it recklessly. Don't do that. But Bitcoin, when it was at $15, and that was about 13 years ago, exactly to the day. This is from Jitka. Okay, from now on, I don't tweet about Bitcoins. We've hit peak Bitcoin, and I hate them. Okay? 13 years. It went from $15 to 67,000. So shout out to the Bitcoin historian. I love that stuff. And there's so many lessons you can learn from history. So that's why I share this, because it's so pertinent to how you need to have the right frame of mind when you are in the markets. I can't stress that enough. All right, let's look at a couple of charts, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, day 49. We are 49 days after the halving. I always talk about that 90 days. Okay, first 30 days typically suck. The next 60 days, a little bit stagnant. Sometimes it does go nuts, but right now we are so early. But we have 41 days to go. Typically, sometimes it can happen before 90 days has elapsed after the halving, but typically by that 90 days afterwards, things go bonkers. That will also take us to, what did I calculate, middle of July approximately. So we have a little more time to go. There could be a little more manipulation, but if we scale this back to where we are if this was the year 2012, the price would be $76,000 right now. If this was the 2016 cycle, the price would be $55,768. That cycle, actually, things went down. And if was 2020, we'd be at $67,861, which is bang in line. So again, don't expect a lot of action for the next 41 days. But this is the time, if you haven't packed your bags, maybe consider packing a little bit. I am Colt. Thank you for coming. And I just love this, again, historical perspective. The history doesn't always repeat, but it definitely rhymes a lot. Also, this is another piece of perspective from Bitcoin charts BTC. And again, it gives you the same message of above. But if you look at the left axis, these are the multiples that Bitcoin does from the bottom to the top. All right, white line is where we are today. This is the current cycle. We hit rock bottom on the 9th of November, 2022. But it was around 15,500. Since then, we've gone up 4x. That's the way you read this chart. Forget the price at the right. But again, if we match historic cycles, not saying we will, the asset is bigger now, but there's also more money flowing in. So theoretically, it's possible maybe to track with the blue line. If we do track with the blue line, this means that the price can go to about 255, 300,000 pretty easily. The orange line we'll ignore altogether. It's a different time. That would be a $2 million Bitcoin. Either way, we're going up from here. How high? I'm not sure. 100,000 a lock? I think so. But we'll see. The point is, though, Bitcoin can double very quickly. When you look at the multiples and you look at the chart, it can go 2x to 4x in a heartbeat. And that's what you need to be ready for. You need to be ready for those 10 days every year when it makes the big moves. Makes a big spurt, all in 24 hours, then it stops. Another big spurt, maybe a few months later, and then it stops. So be ready for that, ladies and gentlemen. Also, this is from MartyParty. I found this very interesting because I spent a lot of last week trying to figure out how $4 billion went into the ETFs. And by my calculations based on multipliers, it should have been at $76,000. It didn't make it there. So I figured out, obviously, that the hedge funds were buying spot and hedging, shorting the cash, the carry trade, as they call it. Now, this is from MartyParty, a friend of the channel, and he has witnessed that every time Bitcoin has approached or passed $70,000, which is 13 times in a row now since the 12th of March 2024, every time it tests a high, the Binance sell wall appears. And every time it dips, the Binance sell wall disappears. And Marty concludes that Binance is suppressing the Bitcoin price using their order book. So watch this very carefully. We're beginning to see, as I said yesterday on DCA, when you understand that markets are manipulated and everybody lies, things are a lot easier and you're much better prepared. So prepare for this market manipulation. It happens in all markets. And Bitcoin Monger. Somebody asked me the other day in a comment on the YouTube chat, why are you making fun of Bitcoin Monger? This is a personality on Twitter. It's not me making fun of Charlie Munger. This is Bitcoin Monger on Twitter. Hence, he puts his images on the charts. It's no disrespect to Charlie Munger. Okay, it's a character on Twitter that I follow. Now, per this chart, though, you'll see leverage longs were destroyed again, wiped out. The market makers keep on reaching down and breaking down these layers. When they see a big green laser line like that you see there, they will reach down and liquidate and grab all those Bitcoin. They did that today. They went down to 66,067 to grab all that Bitcoin from the leverage longs. That's how they fill their bags. So again, they're now pretty much wiped out. So we can go higher from here now. That's it. We're going to go back to 69K where we were yesterday, probably in the next day or two, or by the end of the week. And that's just how it works. So again, expect that chop sideways. If you are a short-term trader, it can be a lot of fun to play. And a little bit of good news too. Hong Kong from Huddle 15 Capital bought the dip. They added 26 Bitcoin. Not a lot, but hey, considering the dumpage here, it's nice to see Hong Kong doing the opposite of what the West is doing. And to celebrate, we are now over 100 days above $60,000. In the last cycle in 2021, we were only above $60,000 for 40 days. So this tells you, if you're concerned that this time is the same and we've hit the top and we're going down, no, we haven't. This time is different. Yet another data point to prove that. Next, Bitcoin Only playlist will be above. I can't point to it, but it will be. And a Bitcoin black hole. Let's look at some of the ETF flows. We are at day 104. And, it's pretty clear after 19 days of records, over $4.2 billion in 19 days, that was going to run out. That's what happens with records. They are designed to be broken. Let's look at the big flows. Everybody down. IBIT down. It was slightly positive, but down. Fidelity, a little bit negative. Let's see if I can zoom into those numbers. Fidelity dropped $3 million. BlackRock up 6.3. BITB 7.6. Big dump from Bitco and Burr. And another, this is crazy, Grayscale dropped 39.5 million. Day before, 36.3 million. Day before that, 37.6 million. It seems like a very calculated offloading of Bitcoin over time. But that's what happens. We had 19 days of positive inflows, which was record-breaking, and it ended. They are the 19 days, and you can see the negative flow is very, very small compared to history. So that's a positive you can take away from this. And the flows for the previous 90 days, $4.2 billion, which was massive, very large indeed. In terms of the number of Bitcoin added to the system yesterday, 934, which is 2 times daily issuance, approximately. And again, compared to where we've come from, this was inevitable. People were taking some risk off, maybe assuming the next 41 days would be choppy and flat. Finally, Grayscale, 3 big dumps in a row. Boom, boom, boom. You can't even see the numbers because they're all overlapping each other in the chart here, way below trend. The bleed continues and the transfer over to BlackRock continues as well. And that is the quick story for today. I'll be back in about an hour and a half with Okta. Busy day, lost some time. Sorry for being late due to outages of all sorts of things. Again, Coinbase. What else? Schwab. My camera. Anyway, thank you all for coming. I hope you're okay today, and I'll see you all in a few hours. Let me see. Ed Maxi. Do ETFs have to prove they actually bought the Bitcoin and wonder how many? Well, yes. A requirement by the SEC is to have another third party verify that they do have their bags. That is NASDAQ. But the question is, do you trust Wall Street? That's up to you. As I say, don't trust anybody, and every market is manipulated. So take with that as you can. And it's nice to see that question. Always be paranoid, everybody. See you all soon. Thank you. And yeah, viewers not bad. Let me see. I don't even know how many live are watching. Somebody just said there. Yeah, 4,000 people here. Thank you all for coming. And yeah, see you in a while. Bye-bye.